Hey there, before we dive into this episode, I just want to let you know that for some reason when we were recording this, my voice, Tyson, was echoing. So I will sound like I'm in a stadium and Fader will sound beautiful and clear. And you can just laugh at this, but it won't be too distracting because Fader's going to be doing most of the talking this episode. But I just wanted to warn you up front that if you hear the echo, know that it was just a fluke in the system, and we apologize if that impacts your experience. So enjoy this episode. It's actually really good. There's an awesome story in it that you're going to want to hear that Fader shares, and just the application of it is really powerful. So have a good one, and we'll talk to you later. Welcome to Trusted Podcast, where it's all about discovering who you are and learning the tools and strategies to make every area of your life a little sweeter. And now your host, master coach and caddy, Fader.
Aloha.
Aloha! I'm getting better at that.
Yeah, you are. You got a long ways to go. Welcome to Trusted Tuesday, brother.
Trusted Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. Today, we are actually going to be going into hole number 3, which is called the faves. This hole of the 18 holes of Mastering Alive, we're going to talk about one particular shot, and it's simply called like tracking the things that you love, but we're going to talk a little bit more about what this means and how it can really change your life and overall meet the mission that we're trying to fulfill, which is trying to help you examine your life, because the unexamined life is not worth living. Didn't like Socrates say that or something? Socrates, yeah. So he's a pretty wise guy.
My second favorite quote. That's my second favorite quote. And don't ask me what my first. No, don't ask me. That's for another day. That's for another day. Another day.
Okay. So tell us maybe a story of how this concept really applies or where you see it in your life.
Well, in the 18 holes of Mastering Life, that's the course that we are traveling. And of course, the LDS world, which you and I belong to, they like to call it the covenant path, but that's just way too boring. I mean, the 18 holes of Mastering Life is much more enjoyable. And it's it's the same concept, but it just really pertains more to you. And nobody's on that. Nobody plays my course except for me. Nobody plays your course except for you. And boy, getting that figured out is really half the battle. But a lot of the challenges that we have in life, Tyson, come when we don't really know what we love, like what we enjoy doing. And we're doing it because we want to please someone, because we want to try to be perfect at something else. And so we're trying to please, perform. Those are, the 3 big P's: perfectionism, performance, and pleasing. And long time ago, as you were a little child, I found myself on my way to work. And my wife, her parents were the ministers. Back in the day, it was called home teaching for whoever the prophet was. And they lived in the Eagle Gate Towers, downtown Salt Lake, and he was the bishop. And of course, she was involved in everything that he was involved in. And I get a phone call, and I'm like, "Yes, Mom, what's up?" She goes, "Are you on your way to work?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm on my way to work, and I'm hustling because I got an 8 o'clock appointment." And she goes, "Well, you know that Krispy Kreme place that opened up down there in Provo?" And I'm like, "Yes, everybody is very aware of it. Would you mind stopping and getting me 2 dozen donuts?" And I'm like, I cannot, because I went by it about a mile ago, and it was really long line. I mean, really long, all the way like up to the mall, which is like a mile away. And so, yeah, she goes, "Well, they're not for me. They're for the prophet." Stop the car, call my client, say, "Hey, I got to go pick up 2 dozen donuts." And I went back to Krispy Kreme. Now, here's where it gets funny. So I can't make this funny enough. I'll do my best because I can't exaggerate what happened and the following. So we're in our line, and you could either park your car, and they had a line going there, or you could get out or you could go stand in line. And it looked like it would be better for me to park my car along the side of the road and walk up. It looked shorter. And I don't know if it was or it wasn't. It's irrelevant, but I go stand in line, and you're talking to people, because I said, how long do you think the line is? And they said, probably 2 hours.
Oh,
I'm
my
talking
goodness.
to the people that are working there, and they're like, 2 hours. And I'm like, oh, geez. All right. This is going to be an all morning affair. And you start talking to people, and you get to know people because you're in line. And they said, well, are you excited about having the donuts? I said, I'm actually not here to pick up donuts for me. I really don't enjoy them that much. I'm here to pick them up for the profit of the LDS church. And they're like, no, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You thought that's a good way to get to the front of the line. But one of the girls I was talking to, there was about 5 people around us, because I'm in line, and she goes over to one of the people who were working, and she says, this guy over here says that he has to pick up 24 donuts for the profit. And the girl comes over, she goes, is that true? And I said, I promise you it's true. I have no way of validating. I don't have a card, or I don't have a picture. We don't have we had a cell phone, but they were not phones where you had pictures. And so I'm like, okay. She goes, well, come with me, would you? And she takes me to the front of the line, and she says in front of everybody, these 24 donuts are for the profit of the LDS church. So make sure they're the very best ones. And like a whole bunch of people were like, oh, yeah, sure. All right. And I basically left with 24 donuts. I skipped the 2 hours. I put them in my car, went to work, called my mother-in-law, and I said, hey, Mom, I got them. And she's like, thank you so much. And I didn't tell her how I got up to the front of the line or anything like that. I did later, but not at this moment. Anyway, went to work. About 4 o'clock that afternoon, took off to Salt Lake, grabbed my wife and my 2 kids at the time, and off we went to Salt Lake City, went down to Eagle Gate Towers, where my in-laws lived and where the prophet of the LDS Church, Gordon B. Hinckley, lived. And I did deliver donuts to the prophet, and we did eat. That's going to be my scripture in heaven, is that I delivered Krispy Kreme donuts to the prophet. And the cutest thing was Marge coming to the front door, and she had her little apron on, and she turns and she goes, honey, the Krispy Kreme donuts are here. And you can hear him, well, invite them in. And we came in the front room, and we sat down, and sure enough, the prophet opened them up, and we all had one. We all ate one, but he said, Brent, did you get these for us? And my mother-in-law said, yes, he took all this time out of work and everything like that. And he said, well, that was just extremely kind of you. And I said, well, this might get me some points up in heaven, right? And he laughed quite hard. I said, I need all the points I can get. And he said, that's funny. And I said, well, then he told me a story. Well, actually, he didn't tell me a story. Sister Hinckley told the story. She goes, my husband has a chocolate every single morning. He has a sweet tooth, and he has one every single morning. And she pointed to the box of chocolates over on their little counter when you walk into their house, and he has one of those every single day. And all I did was leave that, meeting, not with a sugar high, but with a beautiful experience. And I just said to myself, this is a really good example of somebody he has a chocolate every single day. And so I started thinking about how I can incorporate all the things that I like to do in a given day. And that's where the Fader's favorites came up with, is that each and every day I track all the things that I love to do or can do in a given day. And this exercise has been one of the cornerstones of my 18 holes of mastering life path.
Oh my goodness. I love that. Well, and just to give everyone who's listening some context too, let's say that you're not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The equivalent of the prophet is like the Pope for the Catholics. It's like the Dalai Lama for whatever. It's just like, imagine that rank of individual, and you're delivering donuts to them. It's like
weird.
Unreal. It's unreal. So one thing that I love about this concept is that this idea of tracking the things that you love. It's one thing to just notice the things you love. And I know that there are many clients that I've met with that they don't even know what they love. Like they never really ponder that question enough. Or even if they do, they just go with, if I were to ask them, what do you really want? They're just like, I don't know. And I'm just like, no, that's the cop out. That's your brain not wanting to actually think about it, because if you did know what you do, you'd actually, you might have to start doing things uncomfortable. You might have to like stop doing things and start doing other things. And so it's very reasonable why our brain might not want to go down this path, but it's the most like fulfilling and meaningful path.
Yeah.
And one example that
Yep.
I know we were talking about earlier is just tracking the things you love is important because, for example, me and my wife, she does have the sweet tooth. She's just like Gordon B. Hinckley. She loves to eat sweets every single night. And me, on the other hand, I have grown into this point where I don't. Like my body just doesn't like the sweets. And it feels more me to not have them. It feels more true to me, more of what I do really love is a life where I don't have them or have them very seldomly, and that I enjoy what that does for my body. And
Mm.
so unless I track those things, they usually don't grow. And so I have been. It's like I'm tracking every single day on my own method, which is like a habit tracking app, and I track it. It's like, okay,
Mm.
did I eat any sweets today? And
Mm.
if it's a no, then just like sweet, I get the confetti or whatever. But
Nailed it.
it's like,
You
how many
nailed
things are
it.
you tracking? And I don't know if you'd recommend a certain amount, but I think there should be at least some measure of measuring, so
Yeah.
that we can really understand who we are in this.
Well, I mentioned last week in my podcast that I met the most boring person in the world, and he asked me, "I'm probably the most boring person in the world, huh?" And I said, "Yep, you are." But that
Oh
made
yeah.
it super excited to work with him because a lot to work with there. The guy has so much potential. He has
Mm,
so many things at his fingertips, but he's just stuck in this roller coaster road of doing the monotonous day after day after day. He's not spending any time developing himself or working on things, creating habits in other areas or other exercises that he loves to do. He's putting off a lot of things because a lot of men and women do that. They become workaholics and that
yeah.
becomes the centerpiece. And then they recognize that overcoming the workaholic addiction is extremely difficult. And we get a lot of our kicks and giggles from our work as well, and rather than the things
Mhm.
that we love to do. So if you can take the 8 topics that we cover and try to do
Mhm.
3 like in relationships, or 3 in physical, and 3 in emotional, and 3 in social, and try to get up to 25, because if you can do 3 in each category, it's
Yeah.
24. Tack on
Yeah.
another one. If you can start with 25 things that I love to do. For example, pickleball. I don't love to do
Mhm.
that, but that might be one. Um,
Yeah.
basketball, shooting hoops. I love to do that.
Yeah.
Go to the beach. I love to do that.
Maybe
Then you get
golf.
into
I don't
the,
know.
yeah, we don't talk about that. Then you go into relationships, and it might be your dates with your spouse or your kids. It might be interviews that you have with your kids. It might be time that you spend reading. It might be time that you spend hanging out with your friends, dinner out with couples and other friends that you're trying to make, etc. In a business setting, it might be marketing every single day. You decide, because we're all so different. But you just try to
Yeah.
track. I love to do this. I love eating black licorice. I love avocados, so those make it. I love golf. I love surfing, so those make it. And then the key is to figure out when you want to start. Like, start with
Mhm.
the day. Like New Year's, everybody loves that one. We're not
Yeah.
fans, as you know, of New Year's resolutions or goal setting. We're more soul setters than we are goal setters.
Yeah.
And it's really like your birthday is a good date. I do mine every Christmas to Christmas,
Yeah.
25th to the 25th. And I've been doing this for over 20 years. And I recommend that everybody give it a try just to see how beautiful this concept really is. And the third hole of the 18 holes that we cover here, it really is a cornerstone hole. I mean, a couple
Mm.
of really sweet things I've had in my life is that one time I got a call from a really good friend, and she was extremely depressed. She said, "I'm just calling because you're a friend, and I just could use a tip or two." And I just said, "I'm about 30 minutes from your house. Would you take out a big piece of paper and just start writing down all the things that you love to do? Just do it.
Mm.
Write down all the things that you love to do." And I got to her house 30 minutes later, and there she was, came running out the door. And it's like in 30 minutes, she had gone from seriously depressed to extremely exuberant in her personality. And she was like, "What happened?" She goes, "I just realized how many things I'm not doing,
Mm.
how many things I've just put aside." And I'm telling you, a lot of our discouragement, a lot of our suffering comes from when we're not attuned to the things that we love to do. So pick a day. It could be your wife's birthday. It could be your birthday. It can be Christmas. It can be the first of the year. You can start today, October 7th,
Yeah.
and go till next
Mm.
October. Write down 25 things. Now, the key is, let's pretend, let me give a couple examples so that
Yeah.
they get this, all right? So let's pretend that I want to shoot baskets, shoot hoops.
Yeah.
I played basketball in college. I can't keep up with the kids anymore, but I still like to shoot hoops. So I want to try to shoot hoops 150 times from December 25th to December 25th.
Okay.
I want to have a pack of black licorice every single week, 52 weeks. I want to
Okay.
have 100 avocados. That's one every 3 days. I did that like the first year, and I ended up eating like 200 avocados. So the next year I said, okay, one every 2 days or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you track them, and then you get to the end of the year and you see, did I really go shoot hoops 150 times? I only went 20 times. And so the next year, maybe you'll trim it down a little bit, or maybe you had 200 avocados instead of 100, and so you bumped it up. And then maybe your pack of licorice, you were wishing you had more, and so instead of 52, one a week, you have two a week. It doesn't matter. That's the whole beauty. And year
Mm.
after year after year, Tyson, you begin to really fine tune the habits that you want to develop, the things that you
Yeah.
love to do. And then when you look down at them and you say, I only played pickleball 7 times and I wanted to play 100 times. And what was the reason for that? 5 kids. My wife doesn't really want me to get it. She gets a little frustrated with me when I go spend so much time doing that. There's lots more obstacles, but those are just some of them.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I think it is powerful, and just so everyone is aware, sometimes to be able to discover these favorites, it is helpful to talk with someone through it and to establish these parameters. And so it's like as we're walking through these 18 holes of mastering life, you're gonna get some awesome exercises, much like Fader just spelled out for you, and it can be a huge awareness exercise where you can determine, okay, if I really do love this, then I would do more of it. Or what are the obstacles getting in the way of that? And that's what we want to be able to help you do. So for you to sign up for a coach and to come in to the Trusted Club or have a one-to-one coach in this is to be able to help you remove those obstacles so that you can do what you love, so that you can do it with a sense of love and relationship. It's like we're not going to like stop you from building a good relationship with your wife or whatever by just saying, yeah, just do what you love or whatever. But helping you to really incorporate these things that are you and to understand what they mean about you. Because as you keep doing this, the whole point is to know yourself. And if you do that, so much more joy is on the other side. So that's
Well
what we're here to
said.
communicate, and that's what we want to do. So I don't know if you have any last words for us, Fader, but
Well,
take
I've
that.
said pretty much all my working career. I would love to have you in the Trusted Club. I would love to coach you one-on-one. But if you
Mm-hmm.
don't do the one-on-one coaching with us, and if you don't do the Trusted Club, please do it with someone. All
Mm-hmm.
right? Everyone needs a therapist, a coach, a psych, a counselor, everyone. And
Yep.
in today's world, there are so many arrows being flung in so many different ways, and so many people are getting lost in so many different areas and situations of life. And I owe a lot of these things that I've learned from other people to help me stay in my truth, because that's the key to me, is my truth and your truth and Johnny's truth and Jenny's truth, because we're always being pulled out of our truth and into other people's. And or whether it's organization, I said one little time, like, jump to Jesus, jump over the organization of the LDS Church, and I got a whole bunch of people said, Feder, like, are you jumping away from the church? And I'm like, you people, stop it. Okay, you have to learn to graduate from organizations that you're in to a much higher plane, and the higher plane is you and a man named Jesus. That is the higher plane, and those two people know what's best for them. There's a really good country song that says, me and Jesus, we got it all figured out. Yeah, it's such a great song because it's really in harmony with what our program is all about. So that's my final words. We always try to keep these things short and sweet, and do this exercise. Tyson will provide a link down there where you can pick up the page to just learn how to do your faves, Johnny's faves, call it whatever you want. I just was on the phone with a guy who called it his fruit basket. I thought, what a sweet name, fruit basket. Yeah, he doesn't call it his faves. He's like, this is my big fruit basket. These are all the things that I want to eat in a given day.
Oh, I love
and he was just, I loved it too. So, aloha, go get them and enjoy the process.
Hey, listen, if you enjoyed this podcast, you'll want to come check out trustedcoaching.com, where you can get more support and coaching to help you become more of who you really are and to achieve the vision you have for your life. Again, that's trustedcoaching.com. We'll see you there.